to ask everyone to please stand. Call this meeting in order of the Kingston City Council. I'll ask Mr. Brown to lead us in invocation. Mr. Childs, will you lead us in the place of flag?
Pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, once again, we come to you in grateful hearts. Thank you for the opportunity to be here as a body. Be with us and lead, guide, and direct us as we make the best decisions that we know how to do as citizens of Kingston. Thank you for everything you do for us every day. Father, thank you for your Son who died on the cross to save us from our sins. We give you praise every day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Make a seat. Madam Clerk, you please call the roll.
Councilmember Bradwell.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Childs.
Present.
Councilmember Johnson.
Present.
Vice Mayor Stockton.
Present.
Councilmember Wright.
Present.
Mayor Neal.
Present. Do you hear a motion to approve the previous minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? Second. Do you see any corrections or deletions to the minutes?
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Chapman, sir. Council. Madam Clerk, call the roll on the previous minutes.
Councilmember Bradwell.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Now's the time we set aside for citizens' comments. If you're here to comment anything about water or sewer, that'll be done in the third meeting of the night. If you're here to address the council in any city business, please come forward to the podium and state your name and address. Seeing none, we'll go into reports. We go into Mayor and Council. Ms. Johnson, do you have anything to report?
Yes, Thursday I attended the library board meeting, and they were very appreciative of Michelle. Michelle came and shared information on the city budget and the processes with the budget. And then also I wanted to share, Barbara shared with us in the last 8 months, the increase of new patrons to the library has gone from 2 to 3 a month to 40 to 50 a month. That's all, yeah.
Ms. Wright, do you have anything?
Our planning commission has completed the rewriting of subdivision regulations. Hopefully we'll have a copy of that to you guys for your approval. And then it'll go back in front of the planning commission for the public hearing. That's it.
Mr. Brown?
Our annual meeting of the Solid Waste Advisory is next Wednesday, so I'll be reporting back then for you on the next meeting. After the meeting, if you get a chance, stealing some from Mr. Bradwell there at Parks and Rec, Kingston Baseball's got their first home game playing in North City, and the new scoreboards are up and operable if you want to go by and look at them. And the softball girls, I think they play 23rd, I think is their first home game. Thank you.
Ms. Stockton, do you have anything? Mr. Childs?
Back on the RU board, and if you have any questions, package in there, didn't matter.
Mr. Britt, do we have anything? I don't have anything to report either, so I'll turn it over for Mr. Bowling for City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, we're neck deep in budget. It's that time of year, and just some good news to report. As of today, we were $3,227 away from our current year property tax collection projections. We only need to collect 2% of the remaining unpaid taxes left to hit that goal. So, if you remember last year, we had a record year in terms of property tax collections, and it looks like we may break that this year. So, very happy to report that. And a couple other things, our ARC grant, we found out today that we received the notice to proceed with the design phase on that. So that's the work for Lad Park. That'll be moving forward probably in the next week or two. We'll be meeting with the engineers and some others on that to start doing some brainstorming and get the design wheels moving. So that's a big milestone for that project. Our STP project, we're still waiting on TDOT's response to the right-of-way utility plans that were submitted. Once they greenlight that, that will also move into design phase. We hope that'll be in the next 30 days. And then our recodification, as you know, we've been working on that for a long time now. We had a meeting at Sandy McPherson's office. We've also, City Attorney Kevin and I, and Kelly have met. We're finalizing the last few changes that we had and hope to have that submitted to MTAS and back to you for approval soon. So hopefully that project is nearing its completion, and I think that's all I have unless you have any questions.
Any questions for the city manager? You answered the only one I had was about Black Boulevard. So, let's hope so. Item 7 is addition of items of the meeting agenda received after the close of the agenda deadline. I did not receive any. Number 8 is unfinished business. We have none. So we go straight into number 9. New business. Item A is consideration to approve a request from Abel Hamilton to close Court Street in the section of 3rd Street for an event on May the 13th. We discussed this last Tuesday night. Your motion to close this street for the event on May the 13th.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Rice, second by Mr. Childs. Mr. Wright, do you have anything?
I do not.
Mr. Childs? Mr. Childs, you got it? Council, you got it? Madam Clerk, call the roll on approving this request.
Councilmember Bradwell.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Nick.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Item B is consideration to approve Resolution 2303-1401, a resolution prioritizing and approving initial funding for the state and local fiscal recovery funds of the American Resource Act relating to the appropriation of $10,824.79 to replace the access control system for City Hall. Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll motion.
Motion by Ms. Johnson, is there a second? Second. Second, Mr. Bradley. Mr. Johnson, any further discussion? Mr. Bradley? Council? Madam Clerk, call the roll on that resolution.
Councilmember Bradwell.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Nick.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Item C is consideration to approve Resolution 2303-1402, a resolution prioritizing and approving the initial funding for the state and local fiscal recovery funds of the American Resource Act relating to appropriation of $25,198 to purchase 2 commercial mowers for the Park and Rec Department. Do I hear a motion for this resolution?
Make the motion. Second.
Motion by Ms. Wright, second by Ms. Stockton. Ms. Wright?
Nothing, sir.
Ms. Stockton? Council? Madam Clerk, call the call the roll on that resolution also.
Councilmember Bradwell.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton. Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Nick.
Aye. Item D is consideration to approve the first reading of ordinance 2303-1401, an ordinance amending the annual budget for the city of Kingston, Tennessee for fiscal year 2022-2023. Do you hear a motion for this first reading of this ordinance? Mr. Childs, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Johnson. Mr. Childs? Ms. Johnson, anything with that? Madam Clerk, call the roll on that first reading of the ordinance.
Councilmember Bradwell.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Nick.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Item E is consideration to award a bid from Smith Roofing and Exteriors in the amount of $81,313.11 for roofing replacement at 4 Southwest Boulevard. We've had several discussions about this. Do I hear a motion to approve this, award this bid?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Ms. Bryant, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Johnson. Discussion, Ms. Rick?
No, sir.
Ms. Johnson? Council? Madam Clerk, call the roll on awarding that bid.
Councilmember Bradwell.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Nick.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Item F is consideration to approve and donate a cherry desk to Rome 9E11. To hear a motion, we get a letter. Don't let this test at 911.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Ms. Stockton. Mr. Childs, either. Ms. Stockton. Council. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Bradwell?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton?
Yes.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Nick?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Item G is consideration to approve items for surplus. There was a list that we talked about last week. Anything else been added to that list since then?
Not this month.
Not this month. Dear motion to approve the surplus list up and put it on bill bills. Motion by Mrs. Stockton. Is there a second?
I say,
Second, Mr. Webb. Ms. Stockton, any further discussion? Mr. Brett? Council. Madam Clerk, call the roll on the surplus items.
Councilmember Bradwell?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton?
Yes.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Nick?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Item H is consideration to approve earmark $150,000 of ARPA direct appropriation funding for the replacement of lighting at the 352 interchange.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Mr. Stockton. Mr. Childs?
To make them new signs where we put up out there look really good.
Ms. Stockton? And what this is just earmarking the money. It's not going ahead and saying this is how much we want to spend, but this is to make sure that the money doesn't get spent before we get there. Anyone else on this consideration? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bradwell?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton?
Yes.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Nick?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Nothing else further to come before the city council, not this meeting is adjourned. Now we'll go straight into the regular meeting of the Kingston Beer Board. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Member Bradwell? Member Brown?
Present.
Member Childs?
Present.
Member Johnson?
Present.
Vice Chair Stockton?
Present.
Member Wright?
Present.
Chairman Nick?
Present. Reading, I'm sorry. Do you hear a motion to approve the previous minutes as written?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Ms. Wright. Madam Clerk, call on the previous minutes.
Member Bradwell? Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Stockton?
Yes.
Member Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Neal?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Under new business, we have one beer permit, consideration to approve an application by Brandon Ferguson for an on-site beer permit for the Smokehouse Bar and Grill located at 708 West Race Street. Do you hear a motion to put this on the floor?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Mr. Brett. I'm open for discussion. I go straight to Chief Warsham. Just gone through all your stuff to make sure everything is correct, and background checks and everything.
Yes, sir. Everything is clear and clean, sir.
You would consider us approving this beer permit?
Yes.
Mr. Childs, do you have any?
You want to have him come up to say anything? He's here, yeah.
Let's get to that point.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brett, anything? Mr. Ferguson, would you like to come and address the council and beer board?
Sure. How's everybody doing? Got what I was designed? I just want to say, first, thank you for y'all's support. The previous owners down there, they built a good business, and we don't plan on changing a whole lot. We are going to change some things. I was talking with Chief Washington outside. I've been amazed at the amount of people that are my friends and my family's friends that say they've never even stepped foot in that place, because I guess it's got more of a perception of being a bar than fast food. But we're certainly going to change that. We want to be more family friendly and more. I want to be a restaurant that just happens to have a bar in it. I was telling you, Charlie's got a bar. You take your kids there, it's not a problem. So we got to work that out for us. We're going to change some things and make it more, make the perception of the people of Kingston and Roane County period better. And we appreciate y'all.
Could get Joey to come with you?
Well, so actually we're doing, we're serving tonight to all of our family and friends.
Oh, okay.
So he's actually down there cooking right now and doing that. So I got.
Are there any other questions?
Can't wait to see you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, yeah, I'll text you one.
Just the same questions I asked Jock when he came in and asked for these. Is this going to be a corporation?
It is a
We
corporation.
need to change your application. You've got firm, and there's a place for corporation. That makes a difference on your, I'm reading off your application that you've applied. So it is, you are going as a corporation. There's only 2 major stockholders,
Yes.
assuming 50/50.
Yes.
And then what kind of beer permit are you asking for? You're asking for a restaurant or a bar? It makes a difference. We have those, and same thing, he didn't know either.
I mean, we're a restaurant.
Okay, then if you will make sure that you are familiar with our rules and regulations, there's a report that you got to file monthly. There's a certain percentage of beer that you can't sell, you can't sell more beer if you're going to a restaurant than you have food. They go over those, there's monthly, and then of course all your employees have to, you have to notify the chief of police, everybody that's working there, and all that kind of stuff. And we hope that we don't see you back up here anymore after tonight.
I'd like to tell you this, last year, the sales, 73% of the sales last year was food. Beer made up about 15%, and then alcohol made up the other remainder. So I mean, like I said, we're a restaurant, it just happens to serve beer.
And then we've got those broken out as what kind of permit that we're issuing. So this would, the minutes need to reflect then that this is a restaurant permit, because if you apply as a bar, we only allow 2 of those in the whole city. The restaurant, it doesn't make any difference.
We're a restaurant.
Okay, that's good.
Our goal is to
That's the
sell-
right answers.
Yes, well, that's what we are.
And I can see the mistake that's corporation firm. It's pretty hard to, we can fix that, that's no problem. Yeah. Any other questions? Madam Clerk, call the roll on the approval of this beer permit, please.
Member Bradwell?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Stockton?
Yes.
Member Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Nix?
Aye. We'll get to you.
Good.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank y'all.
All right, no other business coming before the beer board tonight, this meeting is adjourned. Now we'll call the regular scheduled meeting of the Kingston Water Board. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll for the water board?
Member Bradwell?
Here.
Member Brown?
Present.
Member Childs? Member Johnson?
Present.
Vice Chair Stockton?
Present.
Member Wright?
Present.
Chairman Nix?
Present. Do you hear a motion to approve the previous minutes as written?
Make a motion.
I'll say. Motion by Mr. Childs, second. Mr. Fredman. Is there any corrections or deletions to the minutes? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, you can please call the roll for the minutes.
Member Bradwell?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Stockton?
Yes.
Member Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Nix?
Aye. Now we have time set aside for citizens' comments. If you wish to address the water board, please come up and state your name, your address, and try to limit how much we do tonight. We'll give everybody about 5 minutes to discuss it. What your complaint is. Whoever would like to go in first, go right ahead.
First, Dickie Maddox, 155 Old Johnson Valley Road. I spoke last month, asked questions, and appreciate the time you gave me last month. There are still some things that I've still got some questions about. So I know at one time you talked about the moratorium that was in place, and then that was lifted. You said at some point last year, I think is what you told me last time. Now, who was that lifted by? Was that the state or was that the town? The county?
That was us. That was the city that lifted that.
Okay, so, was there any documentation or anything of that being lifted? I mean, was there any sort of public notice put out? Since you are a public entity, notice that would need to be issued?
You lifted it with the, when you approved the hookup for Mr. Nix on Highway 70, that was the first
It was first out of city.
applicant that was approved, and that, in essence, that lifted the moratorium.
So there was no public notice given to anybody else as far as that being lifted?
No, there was not a public notice given when we set the moratorium up.
Okay. Well, I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
because I would think that there would be some documentation when it's lifted. So that being said, there's no state guidelines or anything you have to go by as far as how you proceed in this matter? I mean, like, who do you answer to in the state as far as governing body, or it gives you guidelines?
As far as what our policy says now,
Yeah, as far as how, once again, someone like myself, that the state's allowing you to charge me sewer rates, or going to be charging me next month, sewer, or already charging sewer rates when I don't use your sewer. So I'm just having a hard time believing that there's not somebody governing the water from the state that says that you can do that or not do that. And I would just like to be able
There
to
is.
see that policy.
there is, the state has a water and wastewater board that governs us. Also, the Tennessee co-annotated, and I'll refer to the attorney to answer any other questions. That's the ones that the state set this law back in the late 80s, and the city adopted it in 1991. And Mr. Thompson, you can answer.
Do you have any further questions about the Tennessee code?
Well, I'd like to know where to find it. I've tried, and I have found some codes, and I still can't find anything as far as what you're doing that says, number one, that that's allowed to charge for a service that I'm not using.
If you don't mind hanging around, I'll get your contact information and I'll send you both that CA code.
Okay.
Yeah, email if that works for you, and I'll send that to you tomorrow.
I appreciate that. And then the other thing I have is, and I know we brought this up a little bit last time, because the municipal code states, all property, not just the ones that have Kingston water, that code is supposed to apply to. So it even says it in your letter, that I have the letter, that the code says that all property owners, and I know we're the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, because we're Kingston Water Department, so you're trying to get us first. I understand that. I also understand the fact that, you're not going to issue any more permits, supposedly, for people when they need to repair or replace their septic tank.
We don't issue the permits for that. The health department does.
Well, but I was told at this meeting that whoever is not going to issue any more, is that right?
Right.
Okay, because it seems like you're taking code when it says all property owners, and you've actually manipulated to the fact that the only people that are actually in the county and getting charged for a service they don't use are town of Kingston Water.
I mentioned this to a friend of mine who lives in the county,
Okay,
and they have been paying county sewer services for quite some time. And they're not hooked onto it, and they don't use the service. So it's not just something the city of Kingston's doing. Every utility around here is doing it.
well,
And then I've got, there's supposedly going to be a sewer line ran in part of the county to hook up to our city sewer line. And there's probably 20 customers on that line that will be able to hook up to service. If they don't, they still have to pay the cost of it because it is available to them.
okay, well, I understand, that's fine, but that would be under a county code, right, not a municipal code. What you're stating is what you're using to charge us, right?
What we're using to charge you is a state code. Mr. Thompson's going to get you the information.
Okay, because that's just the problem I have, I guess, is I understand the state when people go on sewer. I guess it's more environmentally better, I guess. And I also understand, okay, to do that, you need to repair and replace that, that permits will not be issued, as far as I know, based on what I've been told, that those permits will not be issued. But I still have a hard time believing that the state of Tennessee is okay in this day and time. We're charging people for a service they don't use.
Mr. Bowling, would you let Mr. Maddox know who all you contacted and talked to here, Mr. Thompson, to make sure that what we did was correct in doing this?
We have the course, he's going to get you a copy of the state law, and we can also give you a copy of the Attorney General's opinion from 2002 that dealt with another utility going through the same thing, and he can get you a copy. We have a copy of that as well, so.
Okay,
we'll get you both.
I appreciate that.
Not a problem.
And I think my last question, Mr. Brown, he said something about state law 68, I believe, last meeting, that was somehow involved in this, because I wrote it down. And I looked at that, at chapter 221, which deals with wastewater and stuff, is the only thing I could find.
PCA 7-35,
Hang on a minute. Go ahead.
7-35-201.
And that's state law, so?
Yes.
Some of this stuff's already found, okay.
They call it TCA, but it's Tennessee Code annotated.
What was that?
Tennessee Code annotated.
Well, I found that, but once again, some of this stuff's already found. So where does chapter 221 come in under state law 68? Do you know? Do you know? That would be something I have to know. Okay. Because what I'm getting to, and I don't understand legalese, so I did come across that. But from what I can tell, like I said, I don't know how that falls. But under that chapter, it does state that there can be some, based on discretion, on what rates are charged for sewer customers. And there's like 9 or 10 things listed that they can take into consideration. Because once again, you know, I just don't see I just can't comprehend how it's fair in any form, shape to pay. Now, if you, like I said last week, say you want to charge me $15 a month flat rate to help you out, I don't have a problem. But when it's going to be charged, as far as I know, based on the sewer rate, right, which is a little bit different than the water rate, and it looks like that I'm going to be paying more for sewage, unless I calculate, I'm going to be paying more for sewage. Once again, I'm not even putting any sewage in your system than I am going to be paying for water. So now, every time I'm home, I flush that commode, you know what I think about it? It's like, good Lord, that's costing me at least twice as much now. And how that's even fair when it comes to, you know, quality of life, and in this day and time, when everything costs so more money, inflation's getting crazy, and everything that's going on, once again, I just looking for a fair shake here. Like, you know, I'm a good man, I pay my taxes, and I pay my debts. I'm just trying to raise my family here, you know, and this comes out of the blue, which once again, I stated, if I'd known, when I built my house, started my house in December 2019, I would have gladly have hooked up to the sewer, because I had the ground opened up. But now, I can't even imagine, and here's the thing, the other thing, and I'll be done. I appreciate your time once again. But by you not going after all property owners, now think of this. Just give me a moment to think of this. I've got people right on 7 that are not getting clear because number one, they're on the well, and they got a septic, and they're right down the road from where I live. Okay, they're not going to get paid for anything. Their septic tank may last another 30 years for a lot of them. And here I am, if my septic tank lasts 30 years, I'm still going to have to pay 30 years worth of sewage rate while they're getting by not paying anything. Now, if you think that's fair, I mean, it just...
I can't say it's fair, but I can tell you what the state law is, and that's what we've got to go
Well,
by.
I understand. But there also, once again, I don't know if there's some sort of discrepancy, because it seems like everything I've read, that they give the local municipalities leeway in how they charge the rates to a certain extent. And once again, it seems like there can be some discrepancy. And I still have...
Did we not discuss that last month, that what the rates that were charged or could be charged?
Well, you know, we're talking about in terms of what we would charge for it.
In this case.
So we don't, and this would be a state question to see if we can do it. You know, Conceivably, you all could set a flat rate if the state okayed it. I don't know that they would. We went through a rate adjustment just a couple years ago, and the state made us make all of our rates uniform between city and out-of-city
I
customers,
saw that.
and which lowered the out-of-city rate by over 20%. So to get that level, so I don't know whether they would approve a different rate or not, to be honest.
At least the city customers are getting it. I'm gonna be paying for a service that I don't use, I don't even need it. And it just, I just don't see how that's fair. And I'm surprised there ain't more people down here screaming about it, but I'll see you next month. I'll probably have some more questions, so just I'm warning you.
All right, thank you, Mr.
And
Maddox.
I'm gonna do everything I can, so don't be surprised. So,
Yes, so that's your right as an American citizen.
thank you for your time.
All right. Anyone else would like to address the water board?
My name's Tommy Martin. I live on 167 Golden Harbor Road. It's about the same thing. I don't see, it's like me going to Kroger's, buying a gallon of milk. They say I gotta buy 10 gallons worth of bologna to go with that, or I can't buy nothing. Same way you're doing.
Right, Mr. Muller, I understand. The council in 1989 voted to do this, put this on
I
the books
know
of the
that.
city
I've been
council.
followed all that back.
Yeah,
And I know 1991, they redid
for
it.
1991, yeah.
Right. And
So
I know it's,
all this beer board's, all this water board's doing is following what is on the books in the city of Kingston.
Well, you are going farther than what the state requires, because I followed it back. The state don't require everything you're doing, but I still can't see, I'm like you, I can't see me. I'm not gonna hook up. Have no intention. Me paying 125% of my water bill, is that what it is?
I think it's something in that.
Fine, tell me, do I want to do that? Huh? Well, I've got a septic tank. Okay, let me ask you another question. I've got a septic tank and bill line. Who do I send the bill to pay me for that septic tank bill line that I put in? Since you're saying that you're going to charge me 125% of my water bill. Now, who's going to pay me for my septic tank bill line? Are you all?
No, it's not our responsibility.
State ain't neither, is it?
No.
So, in other words, I'm getting shafted again. Right?
Like I said, Mr. Muller, we're just following what the letter of the law of the state, what the city.
Am I not getting shafted again?
I'm not going to say that, no.
Well, we got him. But it's not right. I don't care what you do, it's still not right. Now, back when I moved here, I would have not bought Daddy's old house if I'd have done this, if I knew that. And I had to annex us, we bought it, you dropped it, and it went from there. Now then, come to find out that this, you're right, this was put in at 80-something, 1980-something.
It was 89 when the state passed it.
Okay, then you put that sewage line in. What was it, about somewhere around $2 million?
Somewhere in that neighborhood, the sewer line went on Galahar, yeah.
Okay. When that went in, people on Galahar asked to hook up to that. They did. And you all said it was against the rule that any county member hook up. It may not have been you, but whoever we talked to said it was against the rules. That any county resident cannot hook up to that service. Now then, evidently you need more money.
No, that's not that. No, sir. No, sir. What it is just like we talked about before, is we were in a moratorium where we could not hook up anyone outside the city of Kingston,
Right.
outside the boundaries.
Now, you
Even when that
changed
line went in there. Now, we've not changed anything. Everything we've done has been on the books, and we're just following what it says in our ordinances and by state law.
Is that moratorium still in effect?
No, it's not.
Who took it out?
We did.
Why?
Because someone in the county wanted to hook onto our sewer.
Well, I know one guy that wanted to hook on it when that sewer line was put in.
Mayor, we
Because he was
did
gonna
that
build a
because we
trailer park.
expanded the sewer plant, and so we were able to take
I've
on.
gone more in the outside the city, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm in the county here.
I understand.
I got nothing to do with the city. And don't want nothing to do. I like to be in the county. I've been through this before. I don't want nothing to do with cities. I want cities nothing to do with me. Because I live, well, it's my freedom. I can do that.
Just
Well,
like
you're
if
taking
you wanted
away
to,
that
you
freedom
could,
from me.
just like you want to, and I may be wrong, I'm going to sneak out of school a little bit, you could turn the city water off and dig a well.
Well, I got a well. That's I've got a well. It's been dug a while. That's highly considered to me since I've got a well. But it's still, the people that has not got a well, it's not fair. It's not fair to charge them 125% of the tax when they're not going to, oh, that pump to hook this in is $3,100. Who has to pay that? You or me?
I'd have to defer to Mr. Hamilton on that.
That would be the customer's responsibility.
I got to see him. Now, that's who I've been talking to. Okay? That's $3,100. Now, if that pump tears up, who pays for it? Who pays to have it fixed?
Customer.
No, city.
Is that right, Mr. Hamilton?
It is the customer's responsibility for the purchase and the maintenance of that pump.
But after that, is not the city have to take it?
No, sir, we stop, our ownership stops at the box, the sewer box.
Okay?
That's
Now,
right.
if, say, well, I live on the right side of the road, if the left side of the road wants to hook on this, do you put a hook up under the road, or do they?
I'd have to refer to the,
That would be the city's responsibility to get it under the road.
They would have to hook it down the road.
What would happen is we charge a user fee plus the material. The customer will pay for the cost of the road board and the permits associated with that. That is figured into the thing. But since the customer does not have a standing agreement with TDOT, the city or the utility will have to apply for that permit in order to get the permit in order to bore that highway. But at the end of the day, you would pay the user fee and you would pay the material cost and the bore, anything associated with it.
Okay? Like I said before, I've got a perfectly good septic tank and a field line. It's working. As long as you do maintenance on them, they'll work from now on.
I understand.
Now, I realize what you just said about the well. The bill to put this sewer line in, for me, and I'm on the right side, is about $6,000.
I don't know, because I'm not there
And
yet.
it's close, because you got the juice, and running down the hill to the line and everything. That's what I don't understand. Why in the devil do I have to pay about $6,000 for something I don't need? And I'm not going to pay.
Because right now, Mr. Maher, that is the policy of this water board. That is the policy of this water board. The cost of the sewer, the cost of the material, or whatever is what this board has ordered to do.
But I don't need it.
I can't help you. I
I
can't.
don't need it, don't want it. Because all I gotta do is have my tank pumped every 5 years. That's $300.
That's fine, sir. I'm sorry that you feel this way, but this is the policy of this board, and until that policy changes, it's going to remain the same.
How do you get, well, I've got no say-so in this city. Which I really don't want. But how do I get it changed?
There has to be 4 members of this board decide to change that policy.
Well, that's probably, will never happen, right?
I don't know, sir. I'm just one vote.
Okay, I'll let somebody else. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council tonight of the water board?
property owners of the Mimosa Mobile Home Park on Kingston Highway at the intersection of Highway 70. Y'all probably passed many times. I am here with concerns that these gentlemen have already expressed, but I would like to begin by first of all thanking Kevin Hamilton and several of you whom we have talked with and asked numerous questions to over the past few weeks since receiving the city's mandate letter on January 13th. We are affected in a similar way that these gentlemen have already described, but our situation goes even further because we have 42 residents currently in the mobile home park. That is 20 individually owned mobile homes. We only own the land that those homes are located on ground. Like at least one person stated earlier, my dad tried years ago to connect to the city sewer connection in anticipation that this would come up somewhere down the line, and also because, as the gentleman stated, it was a good time to do it. You know, when you were working on things and have the equipment on hand to do so. Tonight, I'm just here to ask that you all consider the impacts to the 42 residents in our mobile home park. About a third of those residents are senior citizens. We have a group of families with preschool and school-aged children who will be affected. And in addition to that, we have a number of people who are on fixed incomes. So whatever rates the city has that change, or whatever rent rates that we have that change, their income does not. And that affects their standard and quality of living. I'm here tonight to ask respectfully that you approve our request for a waiver of these sewer fees for services the city is not providing to our residents for a period of 6 months to allow the park management and the residents time to take action to either comply with the terms of this mandate or to seek other affordable housing alternatives for those who may not be able to withstand the financial impacts of the mandate. Thank you very much.
Does anyone else wish to address the water board tonight? Anyone else? We'll go to the city manager's report.
Mayor, I don't have anything other than my written report, but I will tell you that she has an update on at least one of our pending projects.
I just want to give a little bit of notification, update. We have started the West Ridge Crest Sewer Line project. Got it started yesterday, moving along on it. Everything's going good. Of course, as soon as we get that completed, we'll be looking to move to Ward Road to get that one, and then from there we'll go to Warren and O'Berry to get that taken care of. Thank you.
And after, just add to that, after the workshop last week, when the project's finished, we're going to send out another round of letters to let the customers know that it's done. So
Let's do that.
so we've already sent one round, but we'll send another when it's finished. So.
Is that all you guys? Does anyone have any questions for the utility director? Seeing none, there is no new business on the agenda. Is there anything to come before the water board tonight?
Mayor, would it be possible for us to put at the next work session, discuss and talk about maybe Ms. Smith, I like what you said about 60 days or 6 months, maybe not that long. Maybe giving people a chance to, like everybody else, talk. Is that something that we could discuss at the work session? We can put it on the work session to see.
I would like that.
See if we can give somebody, I know some of them are doing, give the city manager the option of, you know, I just can't get it done, I can do this, but, you know, I don't know. You all listen to everybody that's been here just like I have, and that's the first time I've heard anything about waiting 30 days or 60 days or 6 months.
How long's it been since the letters went out?
January.
So it's been 60 days.
And if you want to do that, a couple comments. One, I think we would be more justified in applying that across the board to all these customers rather than just picking and choosing. And also, I believe this was, is it this month's billing that was supposed to start? So if that's something you want to do, I would recommend you have that discussion tonight, because we need to know if we're not going to apply that bill yet. That's certainly your prerogative to put a hold on that, but we need that guidance.
Bills will go out next week, and it will be on those bills unless y'all ask us to put a stop to it.
Anyone on board have anything?
I want to just make sure I'm right. It's already been 60 days, or has it been more than 60 days? I'm just trying to figure out
It's been more than 60 days. Like I said, the fee is, the first charges are scheduled to be on this coming billing. If you all want to put a 90-day hold on that or whatever, that's absolutely your prerogative. Just give us that guidance and we'll do that.
So they've been through one billing cycle since the letters, or two?
Two.
But haven't paid anything.
This would be the first month that those charges would be assessed.
I was just trying to figure out how long they've already done this.
It's been 2 months.
11, January, February.
I know that they
I don't have the date of the letter in front of me.
January 13th.
January 13th, so
Been right at 2 months.
by the time the bills go out, it'll well exceeded 60 days. But again, we can certainly hold that. We just, by next month, the bills will have already been sent out unless you all tell us otherwise.
Can I ask Ms. Smith a question I can answer? Yes. Do your residents in the trailer park, they're all billed separately for water? Y'all don't do all the water yourself, do you?
No, they're not billed separately. We receive 2 bills, one for the front portion of the park, one for the back portion of the park, and we pay those bills through just rent money that comes into us. We pay
So
taxes.
you've got 2 meters, 2 water meters, and both of those water meters are in the landowner's name.
Correct.
So, I mean, it'd be the water bill and the two. The sewer
I can't hear
bill.
you.
Can you speak in the
Sewer
microphone, please?
bill would only be off the two.
Yeah.
That would make any difference because it's volume.
Yeah.
If they use 1,000 gallon or 10,000 gallons, it's still the same, but
Yeah.
wouldn't make any difference. Same thing with the apartments up the street across the Cherokee. That's 1 meter for 4 apartments or 6 apartments.
It's still the same volume.
It's still the same volume of sewage it goes through because it's, well, no, it's not the same volume of sewage. It's the same amount of water, but it being, whether it's whatever, no matter what they use. You're still going to charge a percentage. So what you all are looking at is passing it on as a rent charge, I would assume.
If it's affordable for us to do that for the park, yes.
And I'm assuming that would be the same thing on apartment owners that have 1 meter.
Right.
Or duplexes that have got 1 meter.
Good stuff.
On the way that was worded on the waiver for 6 months, then what would that look like after 6 months? Then I'm assuming utility director. Is that something that then they would owe 6 months?
No, if you all were to vote to put a hold freeze on this, however you want to word it, for 6 months, then it would be, if nothing was done to the contrary, then at the end of that period, that it would go into effect then, unless you all change something in the interim, so.
So if we done 6 months, 2 months of that's already gone, so only give them 4 months.
It would be 6 months from today. It would be however you all make the motion. So that would be up to the discretion of, if whoever made the motion.
I'm not leaning, just to help herd the cats a little bit here, I'm not leaning toward months. I'm looking at July 1, when the budget goes into effect.
Is that a motion?
Do I hear a motion to suspend this
Until
July 1st?
Sure you don't want to talk about it in a work session, so we can.
Well, that'll give us more time to talk about it also.
I can see where they're coming from, 2 months, it's not a long time. When you're trying to figure out what you're gonna do, how you can do it, and what you're gonna have to make it have something dug up and all that. It's hard to get hold of people, to get them out there.
It's hard to get hope runners.
What effect would that have?
Sorry. What's that? I'm sorry.
What effect would that have on your office and water department?
None. It's not revenue we're getting now, so it won't have any effect.
Have you already done the water department budget where you anticipated this revenue in your upcoming July budget?
Not yet.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we put on hold collecting for non-sewer people, once we sent the letters out to, that go into effect in July of this year.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to put this off until July, which will give us more time to do some more talking, discussion about it and everything. And the motion, Mr. Brown, second, Mr. Childs, Mr. Brown, I think you covered what you needed to.
I think so.
Mr. Childs? That'd be good. Ms. Wright?
What about the city water customers that have already been paying sewer charge out being on the sewer for years and years and years?
That one would still have to stay in effect because it's nothing, they're not new. We're not changing what the policy is stating. The only thing we're voting on here is to delay
It's
it.
a slippery slope.
I understand. I told you in January it's a slippery slope.
There's people being in charge sewer that are water customers for 20 plus years.
I understand.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question on this? What about those people that's already had their tax paid and paid for them and we put it in?
How many of those do we have?
To be honest, I'd have to go back and look, but I'm going to say maybe 10.
I don't think it.
They're hooked up. They wouldn't be applicable. They're hooked up, they're customers, so we have to charge them.
Because they were done.
Well, yeah, right. We're not saying that this is not going to still take effect July 1st. It's whatever you're looking at. Because I have some more questions also I'd like to answer when we get.
So Stephanie, you're thinking, for instance, Ward Road, West Ridgecrest,
Yourself.
when we get that finished week after next, would they be fall under this also?
They would, as soon as we finish the West Ridgecrest, we'd send out notices to them 60 days, just like we did Kingston Highway and Galahar Road. And that's the way we was going to proceed on it. But I think if you change this, if that's your choice, I think now we'll have to go back and instead of sending those letters out and giving those a 60-day notice, I think to be fair, the July 1st would probably need to apply to them. And
Well,
like
they're
I
going to
said-
come back and ask for,
Yeah.
these people.
And like I say, the question that I brought up about those people that's already tied on, and I understand what David's saying is, is that they're already existing customers, but what we say to them when they come back and say, we say, well, you're a customer, but they was told that they had to do this and they chose to do that.
Mr. Bell.
Mr. Mayor, and I hate to muddy the water on this,
Well,
but
please do, go ahead.
I just had a thought, and we can certainly get the opinion of the city attorney, but when this was passed to do this, when the water board said in 1991 that we were to charge customers regardless of whether they had the service or not, that was done by ordinance. And I don't think that a vote by this body will supersede an ordinance. So if you want to alter that in any way, I would recommend that be done in the form of an ordinance. And
Mr. Mayor, I withdraw my motion.
Motion withdrawn.
we can, I don't know, again, the city attorney, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that you can supersede an ordinance with a regular vote.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I would agree with David. I think the proper way to do that, if you wanted to undo the ordinance that was done in 1991, would be to create a new ordinance undoing the previous ordinance. I think that would be the proper way.
I thought about that also.
But even if the ordinance, forget about the ordinance, it's a state law. If we didn't have an ordinance, the state law is still going to tell us to charge these people.
That's correct.
Thank you.
But you could opt out of that by ordinance.
Opt out of the state law?
The state law that has been on the books when this was passed said that you can do this. And the water board elected to do this. So we're bound by the ordinance. State law gives you the authority to do it. You voted, or your predecessors voted to do it by ordinance. Now, if there's an interest in pursuing this, obviously we won't have a meeting until next month. If everybody on this board can give me the look of approval, I'm happy not to add this to this month's billing. If you want to bring this up next month or have a special call meeting or whatever, but again, I mean, we're going against an ordinance, and it's muddy water here. But we at the staff level serve at the pleasure of this board. So you all tell us what to do. Sandy would say you set policy.
You're going to have people that have been on city water but not hooked up for sewer, that have been paying this bill for years and years and years, coming before you, wanting a refund, if we get rid of this.
I would have to agree with Ms. Wright on this, but also if you stop and think about the people inside the city, and I'll do whatever the board requests of me and my department, but I will say this, it will be a workload. It will be a workload on my department to have to go throughout this city, just in the city limits alone, and try to figure out who is tied on the sewer, who is not tied on the sewer. And that's going to put a lot of responsibility on the customer, because in order for us, if they're paying for it, for us to determine that, they're going to have to be at home, and we're going to have to spend a lot of time trying to determine if they're tied into this. There's going to be a lot of camera and a lot of man hours put into this. Just as David said, muddying the water a little bit more.
If we do this and we put a pause on these charges till July 1st or whatever you do, if you do anything, I would recommend you make it applicable to all customers, not tied to specific out of city or in city, that you make it applicable to all customers who are being charged and don't have the service.
I would say that the comptroller would also.
We need to be uniform in whatever you do.
Mr. Brown.
Can we go ahead anticipating to give the folks a little more time that we may not have given enough time for these, even though I think we have? Ridgecrest, Ward Road, anybody else out there, that we go ahead in this billing cycle and send them a notice that we're fixing to install sewer, and that another letter will be forthcoming that they've got to do that. That's just going to give us, if it takes a month to install it, a month billing, that gives them an extra 60 days to prepare for it.
We can do that now, or what our plan was once as those projects completed, then we would send those residents letters and start their 60-day clock running at that point.
I'm just trying to give them more than 60 days is all I'm thinking of, that may give them 4 months instead of 2 months.
We can certainly do that.
On Ward Road, you're talking about 6 customers?
7, yes.
7. And on Ridgecrest, we're talking about 30?
34, I believe.
We can go ahead and prepare those now, it's not a problem.
I'm just thinking that way they get down here and they complain and we go, I'm just trying to give them those people some extra time. You know, if we had given the folks out at Mimosas 6 months, which they've asked for to make other arrangements, then we've kind of accomplished what they asked for. Because again, I think the state law, we're going to have to do this, no matter, like I said, the ordinance and the state law requires us to do what it is. Now, the gentleman out on Galahart Road ain't going to help him at all. An extra 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, but he ain't going to do nothing.
I'm gonna not pay the sewer bill. That's where I go. What happens then?
The water gets disconnected.
That's good.
I might be speaking out of turn, but that's all in one
Thank you.
bill.
You're correct.
Is there any other discussion, business coming before the water board tonight?
Move adjourned.
Any adjourned?